The moving boxes were finally unpacked, and our new house was beginning to feel like home. After just 2 years of marriage, Jessica and I had saved enough for a down payment on a charming craftsman in the suburbs, a place with enough room to grow, to build a future. I'd spend weeks painting the spare bedroom that soft yellow she loved, refinishing the hardwood floors myself, and hanging the vintage chandelier we'd found at the estate sale. We should throw a housewarming party, Jessica announced one evening, scrolling through her phone at the kitchen table. Her auburn hair caught the late afternoon light streaming through our new bay windows. That's a great idea, I said, looking up from the instruction manual from our new grill. I'll invite the guys from work and we can have your book club friends over too. Perfect, I'm making a list. She smiled, that familiar dimple appearing in her left cheek. Over the next few days, I noticed Jessica seemed distracted, secretive even. She'd take calls in her other room and quickly minimize screens. When I walked by, I told myself I was being paranoid. Marriage requires trust, and I trusted Jessica completely. The night before the party, I found the final guest list on the kitchen counter. My eyes scanned the names, colleagues, neighbors, friends from college, until I reached the bottom. My stomach dropped. Christopher Hayes, I said aloud, though Jessica was upstairs. Christopher, her ex-boyfriend, the one she'd dated for 3 years before we met, the one whose photograph she'd quietly removed from social media after we got engaged. Jessica appeared at the top of the stairs, wrapped in her bathrobe, her hair wet from the shower. Did you say something? I held up the list. You invited Christopher? Her expression shifted. Defensive walls rising instantly. Yes, is that a problem? Is that a problem? I repeated, trying to keep my voice steady. Jessica, you invited your ex boyfriend to our housewarming party without even mentioning it to me? She descended the stairs slowly, her jaw set in that stubborn line I'd come to recognize. Tom, don't be ridiculous. Christopher and I are friends. We've been friends for years. Just because we dated doesn't mean I have to erase him from my life. I'm not asking you to erase him, but inviting him to our housewarming? That's Jessica, this is our home, our fresh start. Exactly, our home, which means I get a say in who we invite. Her voice had taken on an edge, sharp and cold. Of course you do, but what? You want to control who I am friends with now? That's not what I'm saying at all. I set the list down, trying to find the right words. It's about respect, about us. I would never invite an ex-girlfriend to something this personal without at least asking you first. Jessica's eyes narrowed. Maybe that's because you don't maintain friendships with your exes. I do. Christopher is important to me. The words hung between us, heavy with implication. I barely slept that night. Jessica had retreated to the guest room after our argument, leaving me alone in our new king-size bed. The mattress felt enormous without her warmth beside me. I stared at the ceiling, replaying the conversation, wondering how simple housewarming party had exposed such a deep fault line in our marriage. The next morning, I found Jessica in the kitchen, aggressively chopping vegetables for the party. The knife hit the cutting board with sharp, rhythmic thocks. Can we talk about this? I asked quietly. There's nothing to talk about. She didn't look up. Christopher is coming. The party is in 6 hours. We have work to do. Jessica, please. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Help me understand, why is having him here so important to you? She finally met my eyes, and what I saw there startled me. Not guilt, but something fiercer, defiance, because he's been in my life for 8 years, Tom. 8 years. We share history, friends, memories. I'm not going to pretend he doesn't exist just to soothe your fragile ego. My fragile ego, I felt heat rising in my chest. This isn't about ego, it's about boundaries, about what's appropriate in a marriage. Appropriate, she laughed, bitter and sharp. You want to talk about appropriate? What about trust? What about not treating me like property you need to guard? That's not fair, isn't it? She set down the knife, facing me fully now. You're threatened by Christopher because you're insecure. That's your problem, not mine. The accusation stung because part of me wondered if she was right. Was I being unreasonable? I'd met Christopher once briefly at a mutual friend's wedding a year ago. He was tall, confident, worked in finance. He'd kissed Jessica on the cheek in greeting, his hand lingering on her waist just a moment too long. She'd laughed at his jokes, her body language open and familiar in ways that made my stomach twist. I saw how you were with him at David's wedding, I admitted. The chemistry between you two, it's still there. Jessica's expression softened slightly. Tom, that's ancient history. Yes, Christopher and I have chemistry. We dated for years, but I married you. I chose you. Then why can't you choose me now? Why can't you uninvite him? The softness vanished because that would be embarrassing and rude because I already told him to come because I shouldn't have choose between my husband and my friend. But you're making me choose, I said. Between accepting something that makes me deeply uncomfortable and being the bad guy who ruins our party. She turned back to her vegetables. Then I guess you'll have to decide which one of you want to be. By 6 o'clock, our house was transformed. String lights glowed on the back patio, a playlist hummed through the speakers, and the dining table groaned under plates of food. Our guests began arriving in clusters, Jessica's book club bringing wine, my co-workers bearing housewarming gifts, neighbors curious to meet us. I played the gracious host, shaking hands and giving tours, but my attention kept drifting to the front door, waiting, dreading. Christopher arrived at 7:30, fashionably late, carrying an expensive bottle of scotch and wearing a tailored blazer that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. His smile was easy, confident. Tom, good to see you again. He shook my hand firmly, holding eye contact just too long enough to establish dominance. Beautiful home, you two must be thrilled. We are, I said, matching his grip. Thanks for coming. Jessica materialized at my side, her hand sliding around my waist in a gesture that should have been reassuring but felt performative. Christopher, I'm so glad you made it. She kissed his cheek, and I watched his hand rest briefly on her shoulder. Something unspoken passed between them, a shared memory, a private joke. I wouldn't miss it, Christopher said. This place has Jessica written all over it. That chandelier, the color palette, definitely your taste. Jessica beamed. You remember? Of course I remember. I excused myself, claiming I needed to check on the grill, and escaped to the back patio. The evening air was cool against my flushed face. I busied myself flipping burgers, grateful for the physical task. Man, that's some expensive scotch, my friend Derek said, appearing beside me with a beer. Who's the guy in the blazer? Jessica's ex-boyfriend. Derek whistled low, awkward. You have no idea. Throughout the evening, I watched them. Not obviously, I mingled, laughed, played the perfect host, but my awareness of Jessica and Christopher was constant, magnetic. They gravitated towards each other, standing too close in conversation, their laughter rising above the general din. At one point, I found them on the back patio, slightly apart from other guests. Jessica was showing Christopher the garden beds we'd planned, her hand gesturing animatedly. He leaned in to hear her better, his shoulder brushing her. I approached with fresh drinks. Everything okay out here? Perfect, Jessica said brightly. Too brightly. I was just telling Christopher about our plans for the spring planting. Our plans, I emphasized, handling her a glass of wine. Our eyes met, and I saw a flash of irritation across her face. Christopher, sensing the tension, smiled diplomatically. Well, I should let you two get back to your guests. Tom, thanks again for having me. As he walked away, Jessica rounded on me. What was that? What was what? Don't play dumb. You're hovering. You're making this weird. I'm making it weird, Jessica. You've spent half the party talking to your ex-boyfriend. So what? I'm not allowed to talk to my friends at my own party? Keep your voice down, I hissed, aware of nearby guests. Don't tell me what to do. The argument was escalating, spiraling into dangerous territory. I took a breath, trying to reset. Can we please just get through tonight? We can talk about this later. Jessica's laugh was sharp, humorless. Oh, we'll definitely talk about this later. The last guest left around midnight. Jessica and I cleaned in tense silence, loading the dishwasher. wrapping leftovers, avoiding eye contact. The house that had felt so full of life hours ago now seemed cavernous and cold. Finally, as I was taking out the trash, Jessica spoke. Christopher thinks we should go get coffee sometime. The three of us. I stopped mid step. You discussed getting together again? Tonight? He suggested it. I thought it might be a good idea. You two could get to know each other better. Jessica, I don't want to get to know Christopher better. I want him out of our lives. She slammed the cupboard door. There it is, your true feelings. You want to control who I see, who I talk to, who I'm friends with. This isn't about control. My wife rose despite myself. This is about you prioritizing your relationship with your ex-boyfriend over your husband's feelings. My husband's feelings, she spat the word like it tasted bitter. What about my feelings? What about respecting that I'm an adult who can maintain healthy friendships with people I used to date? Healthy, Jessica. He still has feelings for you. Everyone with eyes could see that tonight. You're being paranoid. Am I the way he looks at you? The way you light up around me? I was shaking now. Months of buried insecurity pouring out. I've tried to be understanding. I've tried to be the bigger person. But watching you with him tonight, in our home, at our party, oh, spare me. The wounded husband routine. Jessica's face was flushed, her eyes blazing. You knew I was friends with Christopher when you married me. This isn't new information. Being friends is one thing, but you're not just friends. There's still something between you two. So, what if there is? The words exploded out of her, and immediately her hand flew to her mouth, as if she could somehow take them back. The silence that followed was deafening. So what if there is? I repeated slowly. Did you really just say that? Tom, I didn't mean. No, did you mean it? You just didn't mean to say it out loud. I felt something break inside me. A foundation I thought was solid, crumbling to dust. There's still something between you and Christopher. It's not like that. Her voice was smaller now, uncertain. Then what is it like? Explain to me, Jessica. Help me understand why you're willing to destroy our marriage to maintain our friendship with your ex. I'm not destroying our marriage. You are, with your jealousy and insecurity. I'm insecure because you give me reasons to be. The words tore from my throat. You hide things from me, you prioritize him, you defend him over me at every turn because you're being unreasonable and you're being disrespectful to me, to our marriage, to everything we've built together. Jessica's expression hardened. You know what, Tom? I'm done with this conversation. I'm done defending myself for having friends, and I'm done with your controlling bullshit. Controlling? I asked you to consider my feelings. Go to hell. The words hit me like a physical blow. We'd fought before, argued, disagreed, but she'd never spoken with me in such venom, such finality. What did you just say? You heard me. Go to hell. She grabbed her purse and keys from the counter. I'm going to my mother's. I need space to think. Jessica, wait. But she was already out the door, her car engine roaring to life in the driveway. I stood alone in our kitchen, surrounded by the detritus of our housewarming party, wondering how we'd gotten here. Jessica didn't come home the next day or the day after that. Her mother called to tell me Jessica needed time, that I should respect her space. When I asked if she was okay, her mother, silenced, said everything. On the third day, I went back to work, moving through meetings like ghost. Direct notice, but didn't pry. Just squeezed my shoulder in wordless support. That evening, I came home to our empty house and finally let myself feel the full weight of what was happening. My marriage was falling apart. I was staring at my phone, debating whether to call Jessica when it buzzed with a message from an unknown number. This is Christopher. We need to talk. Coffee tomorrow, 10 a.m. at Bloom Cafe. My first instinct was to delete it. My second was to curse. My third was to say yes. I arrived early, ordering black coffee I didn't want, choosing a table in the back. Christopher showed up exactly on time, looking somehow both apologetic and determined. Thanks for meeting me, he said, sitting down. I wasn't sure you would. What do you want, Christopher? He sighed, running a hand through his hair. To apologize and to explain. Explain what? What you saw at the party. You weren't wrong. There's still something between Jessica and me. He held up a hand as I started to stand. Wait, please let me finish. Against my better judgment, I stayed. Jessica and I dated for 3 years. They were good years mostly, but we wanted different things. She wanted marriage, stability, a family. I wanted, I don't know, freedom, adventure. I broke her heart when I ended things. Christopher stared into his coffee. Then she met you. She seemed happy. She was happy. I thought I could stay friends with her, be supportive. But seeing her at the wedding last year, seeing how you looked at her, I realized I made a mistake. You want her back, I thought I did. But at the party, watching you two together, after arguing, even tense, I saw something I never had with her. Partnership, real commitment. She chose you, Tom. She married you. She built a life with you. Then why is she at her mother's house instead of here with me? Christopher leaned forward. Because she's scared. Jessica doesn't know how to deal with conflict. When we fought, she'd shut down, disappear. She's running because she doesn't know how to face what's really happening, which is that maintaining a friendship with me isn't worth hurting you. She needs to choose. The marriage requires sacrifice. He met my eyes. I told her this yesterday. I called her and said I was stepping back. No more coffee dates, no more late night texts, no more confusion. She deserves better than that. You deserve better than that. I didn't know what to say, of course. Of all the scenarios I imagined, Christopher voluntarily removing himself from equation hadn't been one of them. Why are you telling me this? Because Jessica won't. She's too proud, too stubborn, but she loves you, Tom. She's just forgotten how to show it. Christopher stood, leaving money on the table for his untouched coffee. Fight for her. Don't let her run. Make her face this. Make her choose you actively, consciously. She wants this. After he left, I sat alone for a long time processing. Then I drove to Jessica's mother's house. Jessica answered the door, surprised and weariness mixing on her face. Tom, I said I needed space. No, I interrupted gently. No more space. We need to talk, really talk. We sat in her mother's living room, neutral territory, and for the first time in our marriage, we were completely honest. I told her how our relationship with Christopher made me felt invisible, unimportant. She confessed she'd been holding on to Christopher as a safety net, afraid of being fully vulnerable with me. I admitted my insecurity. She acknowledged her disrespect. I'm sorry, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry. I almost lost us. But you didn't. I took her hands. We're here. We're fighting for this. That's what matters. Christopher called me, she admitted. He said he was stepping back. I know we had coffee. Her eyes widened. You did? He helped me understand something. Marriage isn't about never having problems. It's about choosing each other when problems arise every single day. Jessica leaned into me, and I wrapped my arms around her, feeling her sob against my chest. I choose you, she said. I choose us. I am so sorry it took almost losing you to realize how much I needed to hear myself say that. We went home that night together. The house was still ours, still full of possibility. It would take time to rebuild trust, to heal the wounds we'd inflicted on each other, but we were both committed to work. 3 months later, we hosted another party, smaller, more intimate. Jessica's book club, my co-workers, our closest friends, no Christopher, just us together, finally on solid ground. As I watched her laugh with our neighbors in the garden we'd planted that spring, Jessica caught my eye and smiled, not the performative smile from the housewarming, but something genuine, warm, meant only for me. I smiled back, understanding that sometimes the hardest test of love isn't whether you fight, but whether you fight fair and whether you choose to stay.